There's been a lot of debate lately about weddings. What's more important than a wedding? The picture of redemption to which marriage points. That's what's more important than a wedding. And because of that, everything we do in a wedding ought to be pointing toward that redemption and not toward us. The book of Ruth is arguably the greatest love story ever told. It's amazing. But you know what's interesting about this love story? There's no wedding. And he, Boaz, took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, "Sit down here." So they sat down. He brings this before the one who is next in line before him. The one who is next in line before him decides not to become the kinsman redeemer. He decides to become the kinsman redeemer, and the elders themselves are rejoicing. Why would the elders rejoice over this? Because God has provided. It's an encouragement to everyone. Why do we go to weddings? It's an encouragement to everyone. Amen? This source of comfort, this source of protection, it's important to the entire community. And that's more important than a wedding. This idea that children are going to be brought up in homes with parents who are going to raise them and protect them and feed them and discipline them. The offspring that marriage produces is more important than a wedding. Amen? Do you want to know one of the number one reasons that young couples become yachts? Year or two. Number one is that whole lame excuse we want to, get to know each other. Whatever. You want to get to know somebody, have a baby with them. Yeah. But the other excuse is finances. We're spending $30,000 on a wedding, and then we can't have a child because we don't have enough. Make it make sense, y'all. Somebody make it make sense. We have decided that this thing matters and this thing doesn't. And yet, the offspring that marriage produces is far more important than a wedding. It's not a money issue. It's a priority issue. It's a faith issue, and oftentimes a selfishness issue. Now, does this mean that every marriage is going to result in children? No, but when we see marriages that don't result in children in the scriptures, it is not something to celebrate, but it's something to mourn. We see people coming before the Lord, pleading with him to open the womb and bring children. Because Psalm 127, Psalm 128, they're a gift. They're an inheritance from the Lord. The only blessing that we consider a burden. Can you imagine somebody coming home? "Babe, what's the matter?" "Got a promotion on my job." "Well, babe, that's a good thing." "Yeah, but it's going to mean more money." "Well, babe, yeah, but we already have a lot of money. What are we going to do with more?" We laugh, but that's exactly how we think about children. So while we're looking out at the culture and wringing our hands because of all the foolishness that we see with the LGBTQIA2S plus stuff, back up a bit and ask yourself what we are communicating about this sacred institution and what we really believe about this sacred institution. Because if we make weddings the be-all to end-all, then there's a log we need to get out of our own eye before we start dealing with the speck in our brothers. Because these things are far more important than a wedding. If you can't afford a wedding, but you get this picture of redemption that marriage paints, you're winning. If you can't afford a marriage, but you get this aid and this comfort and this protection that marriage brings, you're winning. If you can't afford a big wedding, but you understand the glorious gift of children and are ready to welcome them, you are winning. Because here's what I know. When you come to the end of it all, there are a whole lot of people who wish they had had kids. There are a whole lot of people who wish they had had more. But nobody leaves this earth clinging to the regret that they didn't spend more on a wedding.